I feel like my heart is blocked from love. I've been single for more years than I want to say and seem to quickly sabotage any potential relationship that crosses my path. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin. What should I do? Well, yeah, it sounds like you definitely have a blocked heart. And when we have a blocked heart, it's typically blocked from one of two major things, but there's lots of things that can cause a blocked heart. A lot of times it's our romantic relationships that have inflicted pain, made us feel like a victim, made us feel like somebody did something to us that didn't feel good. And that becomes hardening to our heart if it happens, especially multiple times, or if we don't get to the root of the first one. So that first heartbreak that we experience, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes happens in junior high. It happens early. And then there's another whole segment I'm going to talk about in a second, but it happens when we're young, and it's that first time we experience love outside of ourselves. I talk about this on many questions, many shows, because it's so important that we really get to the root of what that heartbreak was that made us close our heart and say, I'm not going to experience that again. I'm not going to let anybody get that close to me because I don't want to have that feeling. Okay, so you want to get to what that is. And that takes some work, and it takes a little bit of time. It's not always overnight. There's lots of tips, tools, techniques, modalities you can use to get to the core of the matter. I can't go through them all today on the call, but I can tell you that if you go to bethbell.me, I've got an Awakening and Healing Handbook. It's jam-packed with all of these modalities, all of which I talked about in Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics. So in my book, I go through a lot of the techniques that I've used to help me overcome blocked hearts, healing hearts, broken hearts, and that will really be helpful for you to take a real tune in to like, well, what resonates for me of all these tips, tools, techniques, and modalities? Without you on the line with me live, it's a little bit more challenging for me to say exactly which one might be right for you. And I always like to say that it's about what resonates for you, because you may say to me, Beth, you know what? Family constellation stuff, I don't know what you're talking about. And it just sounds weird, right? I thought that actually in the beginning when people were talking about doing this family constellation work, I was like, I don't even know what that is. And I like my family, I actually have a really good family. I don't think I have any wounds from there. So I'm going to segue from that into the second part of one of the big major reasons why our hearts can be blocked or closed. And that is childhood. I know. Inner child work. A lot of people just are really resistant to this idea. And I think it's because that's where a lot of the pain resides. Why? Because that is where we learned what love is and how we experience it and how we get it. But the reality is that we actually don't get it. We have it. We are it. And we share it with others, it being love. We share it. But when we grow up in a household with parents that are probably struggling with their own childhood wounds, love becomes very conditional. And we start to feel like I have to do something in order to get love from one of my parents. And so this condition, these programs come in early on. You don't even have a clue that they're happening because all you know is the love that you're experiencing from the people that raise you. So if you didn't have a mom and a dad, whoever was your confidants, the people that took you in, those are the people that programmed you with the ideas of what they thought love is and how it should be expressed. And in most cases, people do their darn best. But if they haven't done that work and they're not living with a whole heart and an enlightened sense, which most people aren't, honestly. Most people are just struggling through trying to figure out their own heart. And they don't necessarily mean to do these things to their children, but it's the programs that they were also instilled with. And so they're navigating life. And there's a soul contract between a child and a parent. And honestly, I feel children, we always think, oh, we're here to teach the children, we're here to raise the children. And while there's an element to that that's certainly true, they're here to teach us a whole lot more because they come in with that pureness and that innocence And then we teach them all the things that are so far from that, unknowingly and a lot of times unintentionally. So I would recommend that you go back and really look at, is this a broken heart that is now closed and blocked because something that happened in my childhood? And look, that can take some time. And it can also be something that is so subconscious because you were a child and you don't remember it, but it's a feeling that still resides. So that's why I'm saying I think it's really helpful if you go to the Awakening and Healing Handbook on bethbell.me, because you'll get a lot of different modalities that you can tap into, that you can say, yeah, that feels right for me, to get back to that in my life. And if it's a romantic relationship, it's that first love, and you see the pattern, right? That's something you want to really get into. So I have a five step process that you can go through to help heal your heart back to wholeness, wherever you're at, whether you're in the blocked heart, the broken heart, the healing heart, or the whole heart. It helps you to really just realize, how can I move through this in a way that gets me to the other side? All right, I think that's it for this question. I'm always happy to hear your comments. If you have more questions, please put it in the comments. Let's move on to the next question.